I remember when excuses felt so good to me, like a warm blanket on a cold night. I remember the feeling of the excuses. When I gave it, I was like, yeah, that was a good one. But I felt worse when I felt the feeling of defeat. When I felt the feeling that I wasn't good enough because I didn't follow through on my word for myself, that I was going to achieve a certain task, but gave an excuse why I couldn't. And I realized that the excuses only sounded good to me because other people were looking at me like, I thought you said you was going to do this. I thought you said you was going to do that. But I was making excuses and they only sounded good to me. And so I want to encourage you to look at yourself and see what excuses that you're giving you and really ask yourself, could I have completed the task? Or was I feeling so good in my warm blanket of excuses that I didn't complete the goal at hand? And you're going to pay for it. You are going to pay for your excuses because the longer you make excuses for yourself, the longer it's going to take you to achieve your goal. The other thing that it does, every time you give your excuse, you create a groove in your brain. You create a new neural pathway that says excuses are okay for me because I just can't do it. I can't do that. I can't do that. That's why the excuses keep getting easier and easier and easier. It's because you created these neural pathways in your brain that have accepted your excuses. So it's easy for you to make an excuse on why you can't achieve your goal. So, how do I change this around, TK? How do I change these negative neural pathways that I've created that have accepted my excuses to not accepting my excuses? Well, one of the ways you can do it is by starting with something small and following through. You got to learn how to follow through on your word, even with the small things, because the small things equal the big things. So you take something small. So if you say, hey, today I'm going to go wash my car. Make sure you follow through and wash your car. Don't make excuses for yourself, regardless on what happens that day. Because the minute that you make up your mind that you're not going to make excuses, guess what's going to happen? All kind of things are going to come your way, right? Things that's going to seem really important. But I promise you, this is the most important thing that you do is follow through on washing that car. Because when you follow through on washing that car, regardless on what obstacles came your way, you're going to feel victory, right? You're going to feel victory. You're going to feel confident and you're going to feel good that you followed through on your word. It's so important. I didn't realize how following through on your word was one of the most important things that you can do for yourself, because it helps with your value and your worth, because you were worthy enough to follow through on what you said you would do. So that's the first thing. And then you just want to keep adding those small tasks that you're completing. And next thing you know, you're going to have a series of small items that you completed, small tasks that you have completed that you follow through with. And then that continues to create a new pathway that says, I do follow through on my word. I do follow through on my word. So you never get rid of the excuses pathway, but you create the pathway that you are creating, that you are following through with. You create a new pathway, but that pathway gets bigger, bigger, and bigger. And once you have a big enough groove that you've created with following through, the other one just diminishes, right? Because it's so much bigger. So make sure that you start following through on what you say you're going to do and stop giving excuses, because your excuses only sound good to you because you've convinced yourself that it was a reason why I couldn't do it. And the truth of the matter is you just fell back on your word. You didn't follow through. So start following through on your word. It's going to help change everything for you. Before you know it, all your goals are going to be achievable because you didn't give an excuse and you followed through. I love you guys. My name is TK Martin. Peace.